Welcome back to Bravo Breaking News. I am your host, Kim, aka Bravo Breaking News on Instagram. And guys, if you did not watch this week's Vanderpump Rules after show on Peacock and YouTube, run, don't walk, because the cast is spilling so much tea about this week's episode, including Tom Sandoval threatening to sue his former assistant, Anne. Yes, there is a lot going down, and I'm going to get into everything you need to know. But before I dive in, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any Bravo breaking news. So, of course, the cast has been bringing it every week on Vanderpump Rules, and the after show is no different. If you guys are not watching, definitely head over to Peacock and YouTube because the cast spills so much tea on these after show episodes. But something in particular stuck out to me from this week's after show, and that is Tom Sandoval talking about his former assistant, Anne. Yes, our beloved Anne, we love her so much. If you guys remember, I did report a couple months back that Anne was potentially Ariana's assistant now, and that she was no longer working for Tom. This was before I had any idea that they were going to be covering it on the show, but as it turns out, it is definitely a storyline, and we are seeing it all play out in real time on this week's episode. But it does not seem like the drama with Anne has come to an end. There is more happening between Tom and Ariana and Anne, and it kind of seems like Tom may be taking legal action against her. So Tom is sitting with Jax and Tom Schwartz on the after show, and of course the producer asks him about Anne.
Let's talk about Anne.
Because in this week's episode, he allegedly fires her because of her sit down with Ariana and her potentially going to work for her. He basically says, she did this at a delicate time in his life, and he kind of counted on her to be loyal.
At a really delicate, fragile time in my life, she asked Ariana to work for her.
As she was working for you?
Yes, literally on a normal, Monday work day.
However, Ariana has a different story and is definitely coming at it from another side because while Ariana, yes, did need an assistant and things were falling through the cracks, she did notice that Anne seemed unhappy at her job and definitely wanted a change.
She was at a point where she just felt like she was so unhappy in her job.
I mean, who wouldn't be unhappy in this job? I mean, let's be real. Could any of you have the job that Anne had? She is an absolute saint for what she put up with for so many years. Ariana did not end up hiring Anne in that moment, yet she ended up getting fired anyway, so Ariana regrets not hiring her in that moment in the first place. But then Tom starts talking, and Jax first asks him if she signed an NDA.
Did you make her sign an NDA?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
And of course, Tom said yes. Jax said that was smart. I also think it's smart because let's be real, there's a lot that she could divulge about Sandoval that she's probably not allowed to now. However, he does bring up the fact that she started a podcast with that exact name called I Signed an NDA.
She started a podcast.
What?
It's called I Signed an NDA.
So if she signed an NDA, what could she possibly talk about?
I don't know, but she's about to get a letter from my lawyer.
He also makes an offhand comment that Anne is going to be receiving a letter from his lawyer very soon because he is not happy about this. He accuses Anne of saying things that aren't true. He uses the example of Anne saying, that Ariana was always up and working and Tom was never doing anything when Tom admits it was actually the reverse. Ariana doesn't come out of her room until 1 p.m. during the day, and Tom is always up and at him and getting things done early in the morning. If this is all Anne is divulging, sorry, Tom, I don't really think you have a case. He also claims while Ariana admits to love Anne and almost want to hire her as her assistant, that Ariana actually didn't want Anne around. Though he says that it wasn't personal, she was more just annoyed that she was around all the time, not specifically talking about her.
It's annoying to me because Ariana never wanted her around. She would be annoyed that Anne was over. Not so much at Anne, but the fact that somebody was over.
Ariana kept asking time and time again, why do you need an assistant? And Sandoval's excuses, I don't know. He says she's basically there to water his plants and keep everything stocked in the house. I mean, we know the pens and batteries and toilet paper storyline from last season. And I guess this was one of Anne's sole responsibilities because Ariana wasn't doing it. He's also not happy with the fact that Anne was on the show, kind of going behind his back, talking to Ariana and talking to Katie about Tom. Though we haven't seen much of this on the show yet, I have a feeling that more of the storyline with Anne will play out. He says it seems like it's a conflict of interest and he feels betrayed by Anne.
Going to Katie and Ariana, of all people, that's a huge, I feel like a conflict of interest. It seems like a betrayal.
I don't know about you, but Anne seems pretty innocent in all of this. I mean, if the worst she said on her podcast was that Tom woke up late, I don't think that Tom has any legs to stand on. I don't think that's part of an NDA. I have a feeling that she has a lot worse things to say about him that she will not be divulging. Do you guys think that Tom is actually going to take legal action? I mean, it is kind of crazy that she started a podcast called I Signed an NDA and does talk about her experiences as a personal assistant. But I think she is smart enough not to divulge things that might get her in trouble. However, I think Tom is willing to take any action right now to make sure that he himself looks good, even if it's throwing Anne under the bus in the process. So we will see how this all plays out. Is Anne going to get a letter from Tom's lawyer? We will find out. But that is not the only thing that stuck out to me on this week's after show. Because of course, on this week's episode, we had the blow-up fight between Ariana and Sandoval about the attempted dog murderer. And in the after show, Ariana is doubling down. She says that she called him that, and she means it. And the one and only Kristen Doty is joining the cast on the after show. If you guys didn't notice, we have Jax, we have Brittany, and we have Kristen, and some of the other cast members coming in and out of the after show to kind of talk about what's going on in Vanderpump Rules and the Valley. Kristen is actually defending Ariana, and if anybody knows Sandoval, it's Kristen. She was with him for 4 or 5 years. She was in a serious relationship with him. She knows Sandoval better than a lot of these other people. And while I agree with the cast and don't think that Sandoval really tried to murder the dog, I don't think that he should be called a dog murderer. I do agree with what Kristen said, and it's basically he's a moron and he's only thinking about himself. He's basically only looking at himself in the mirror, not thinking about others, not considering how other things might affect others, including Maya the dog. So this was just another example of him being a narcissist, not thinking about anybody else but himself. While I do know it was an accident and a mistake, I think it's just him being him. But it seems like Sandoval still has some ill feelings towards Anne and might be blaming her for this because once again, he is not taking any accountability and says it was either him or Anne who opened the door and let Maya into Ariana's room. Now, Tom, this has become a major issue and fight on the show. And for you to throw Anne under the bus once again for something that you possibly did is a bad, bad, bad move. Let's be real. Not much that he does these days makes him look good. But don't blame it on Anne, dude. Take the blame, take accountability, take the fall, even if it was her. She is your assistant and listens to whatever you say. So most likely, even if she did it, you told her to do something that caused her to let Maya into the room. We also have Lala doubling down on the trash bag commercial comment, which you guys know I am Team Ariana, but this cracked me up. Everybody's all up in arms about Ariana leaving the takeout container in her room, the trash. Why didn't she throw it away? Lala chimes in the confessional. Didn't you do a trash bag commercial? You should know how to throw things away. And honestly, guys, I literally laughed out loud at this comment, and she doubles down about it on the after show. It kind of seems like as the weeks go by, Lala keeps coming after Ariana more and more, defending Sandoval, breaking down everything she does, and calling her out any chance she gets. And I have a feeling that this blow-up fight between Ariana and Lala at the reunion was just a culmination of what has been said these past few months. So of course the cast talked a lot about other stuff on the after show, but these are definitely the highlights that you guys need to know. If you want to watch the whole after show, head over to Peacock. It is totally worth the watch. And stay tuned. Do you guys think Tom Sandoval is going to take legal action against Anne? Does he really have a leg to stand on? Let me know what you guys think in the comments and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any Bravo breaking news.